This is 1.6 wire, which is a little thick for what we're doing, so I'm going to draw it down to 1.3, maybe even 1.2. File a long taper on the end and pull it through your draw plate until you get the correct size. Once you have the correct size, anneal this because we're going to ask it to do something difficult. Okay, so file, taper on the tip, draw it down to the size you want. You can try doing this with 1.5, but I think it's a little bit thick, so fix it. So I've pulled this down to 1.2. Now I need two pieces 100 mil long. You can use your side cutters for this. Anneal. Once you've annealed this, it should be nice and soft. What we're going to do is tie a single overhand knot in this poor little thing. So just like you're starting to tie a shoelace. Yep. Now hold this end in the vise, hold this end with your draw tongs and pull it tight. So just stick about 6 mil of the end in, tighten the vise, pull it sideways like that, grab it with your draw tongs. It wouldn't hurt to put a little bit of lubricant on there. Beeswax is good. So we want a nice tight knot. Yep, preferably in the middle, but as long as you have room to work with on the end, it's fine. So now, back to the bench. Take your next piece of wire and you're going to stick it through that loop. Yep. And then do another single overhand knot in this piece. So back to the vise and we pull that one. Same thing, put the end in enough to hold, bend it over, grab this end with your draw tongs, pull it tight. So now we have a gorgeous little knot that most people don't see. So make it a little bit different. At this point, take your ring sizer, get your ring size, measure the inside diameter in millimeters, add the thickness of your wire, multiply by 3.14, and that's the length you're going to cut this for your ring. So do each one separately. You can see they're offset, so you can't do them both at the same time, but it doesn't really matter. Cut one to length, file it flat, bend it around so that you have a good join, solder it, and then do the next one. When you cut this, use your saw, and then use your number 2 cut flat hand file. The file we pretty much use for everything to do the end. Then take your flat half round pliers, ring bending pliers is another name, and what I do is I hold this knot flat like that and form my wire. Round bit goes on the inside, and because this is wire we want to be fairly gentle because we don't want to put any marks in it, because wire is difficult enough to get marks out of without showing it, but small wire is almost impossible. So once you get close, use your fingers, manipulate it until you get it so that it's a perfect join. Put it in your third hand, solder it using hard solder. If you make your join as perfect as you can before you solder it, you'll have minimum cleanup. Once you've taken your piece out of the pickle, the join should be darn near invisible if you did it correctly. But at this point, dry it, put it on a ring mandrel, round it up. You can just do it by hand if you want, because it's fairly thin wire. Take it off and then sand that back. So you only ever sand stuff like this when you've actually rounded it up, because it's easier to work on a curved surface than it is a flat one. Use your sanding stick, 400 grade paper, and follow the curve. And like I say, the joint really should be invisible when you're finished. You can use the split mandrel on the inside if you want. So just tear a piece of paper off your sanding stick, and if you put it in the end of your split mandrel with the abrasive up and then just slowly turn it, the abrasive will always be on the outside. And when you have that perfect, cut your next one to length and do the same thing. Now when you get the second ring ready to solder, you'll notice that it's quite easy to open this away from the other one because your knots aren't soldered together. So put that down, hold the joint up in your third hand and solder it. After you've soldered the second one, take it out of the pickle, dry it, round it up on your ring mandrel, tidy up the join. Be fairly gentle with this. You don't want to stretch this. So use your sanding stick, tidy this one up. If the ring is a little bit wonky this way, what you can do is put it on your bench block, hold it sideways, and then just flatten it with your rawhide hammer. So tidy this up with your sanding stick. So once you have both of your joins the way you want them, the way I want them, slide it onto your ring mandrel and use your rawhide hammer to round it up. Don't hit the knot. And turn it over so that both rings are the same size. If they're still a little bit wonky, put it sideways on your bench block, tidy it up, and then polish it. So that is your love knot ring, and it's a love knot because it's two things that are intertwined. I like it. Different. So once you're happy, you can either put it in a tumbler for 10 minutes, or you can just put it on a wooden ring mandrel and polish it the way you would normally. The tumbler gets the inside so you don't have to fiddle around with it. Done.